So the Trengu Rinpoche text is particularly interesting in that it goes over these 8 consciousnesses. So you don't have to have me being the only one talking about them. This is actually a great little map of the mind. Obviously, it's considered pure consciousness, but as we go into effortless abiding and letting be, what are we letting be? Sometimes it's helpful to see that. So we see these 5 senses, our seeing, how our thinking can associate with the seeing, and how our sense of conditioned self can like the things that we're seeing and have feelings about the things we're hearing. Uh, there's nothing to do with any of these mechanics. It's just what's going on. It's nice to know. And they're also used in other traditions. So they're quite rich and have a long history. The 5 wisdoms, of course, are the counterpart to the 8 consciousnesses. And those are just some like different aspects of the sun, I suppose. Like it has heat and it has luminosity, and all these various qualities, size, or whatever we may perceive about the sun. And so in this way, there are these 5 aspects of your mind which tend to get stirred up into conditioning. But ultimately, they've always been pure. And I think they get mentioned by Longchen, they get mentioned by Naguma, so many people. Of course, the Kuntuzampo Mulam is very famous for having those considered Dzogchen Mulam. But if you want to take it even further back than the Kuntuzampo Mulam, you can see around the time of Naropa and Naguma, 11th century, and then even further back to the Kunyikalpo itself, which is dated around at least 6th to the 8th century, attributed to Garb Dorje through Sri Singha, translated by Verachana, and probably other translators in there too, from what I'm noticing. So in that regard, we have this really like intertextual jewel here. So many tantras and citations of various yogis and stuff like that. Very, very cool. And within that, at the very heart of it, is always going to be the Eightfold Path, right view as awareness itself, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, effortlessly abiding your thoughts, your emotions, your environment, including the body. And that's a little bit, we tend to isolate ourselves into the body dimension and into our thoughts and into our brain and behind the eyes and wherever else. But if we begin to really include the ayatanas, as they're known in the canon, in the Buddhist canon, but they're known through other traditions too, different names, different ways of classifying. But you can't really switch it up. I mean, you have the seeing, you have the eyes, you have the seeing and stuff that's seen. But all that is within the knowingness of your mind, within awareness. So if I see a dog looking towards the mountains right now, my eyes, the seeing, and the dog, the 3 spheres of conception there are one within awareness, the great Dhammadhatu, right? The all-encompassing space. And so in the same way, the hearing, smelling, tasting, tactile sensations, and cognitive thinking has the 3 spheres too. And then the feelings that run with the thinking. So we always have stuff that we're thinking about, and there's actually thinking itself, and then the only thing is that the source is invisible there. And so that's why they can begin to be recognized as light, external tsal and internal ropa, as it's known in Tibetan. And then there's no outer or inner. It's just a kind of since the body is elements and mostly empty space, actually, then there's a kind of union there, right? A union of lights, and even sounds are sort of lights in a respect, but we don't want to imputate that or take that perspective. Okay, and so everything will always revolve around these four foundations of mindfulness. They're foundational in the Buddhist canon, and then also it will always the human experience will have these eight consciousnesses and five wisdoms. Any questions about that? And the three kayas, of course, plug in there quite nicely. The three kayas correspond with the four foundations of mindfulness. Okay, but I won't elaborate on any of that unless you have specific questions. I just wanted to put it out there a little bit, how some of this is basically foundational. Yeah. How would they correspond? Well, you have this Nirmanakaya display, which is the four foundations of mindfulness, right? And it's interwoven with cognition and it's where is it abiding? Where are the four foundations of mindfulness abiding? In the Dharmakaya. So you have this any thought, any feeling, any form is going to be made up of the Sambhogakaya cognition within the Dharmakaya. But the four foundations of mindfulness are essentially describing your Nirmanakaya experience. Making sense, right? So Sambhogakaya and Dharmakaya are implicit in that case. All right. Well, we'll go into the Longchen text. Must have been some reason why I talked about all that stuff. Ayatana Dharmakaya. Oh, that's interesting. Dorji Lerpa saying he's corresponding the kayas to the ayatanas as Dharmakaya being the eye. Sambhogakaya. No, I personally wouldn't. Uh, because the eye, the vision, and the object are all Nirmanakaya. The eye is coming about and functioning because of Sambhogakaya, essentially. But you got to understand, we're almost overlapping impurity with purity here. The kayas are the pure aspect, so we can't really weave in um, too much the conditioned aspect, because even your body is Nirmanakaya. It's considered energy. That's what Nirmanakaya can also correspond to. Tucci, this energy, and what would energy be without some kind of hidden cognition to tell it to do stuff, to vibrate a certain way? And then where is that cognition, right? So we have Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya. All right. Yeah, we just, all the stuff, if we can simplify it, break it down to its simplest terms, um, that's what I love about Dzogchen is you can plug all this stuff in naturally and very easily. So it'll start off here. Oh, Gongchar is here too. Gongchar is saying, do the four foundations relate to the arising of name and form in the mind? I would say so because you have mental formations in there. If you correspond that to the 12 links of dependent origination, you start off with ignorance and fabrications and then conditioned consciousness. And then you start labeling, right? Yeah, so it all weaves together, which is maybe why they call it a basket. It's very cool. Um, I mean, who knows how many layers that it weaves in together. It's quite fascinating. So, the all creating monarch states, whatever it seems there is to be done, whatever manifests, freedom is revealed by resting naturally, without deliberation, in the nature of phenomena. And to me, that might as well be Togyal advice as well. If you rest in the nature of phenomenon, so like I was saying before, awareness permeates the four foundations of mindfulness. So your whole environment is permeated by awareness. And by the way, that's um, Rangjung Yeshi Dorje, I think, is the third Karmapa from the Trengu Rinpoche text. He makes that point in the beginning that objects are also consciousness. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to perceive of them and interact with them. They would have to have the nature of consciousness as well. And so, when you're abiding here, and you're um, the three spheres are within awareness. So really, the three spheres are when we're making duality, when we're subdividing. So if we're abiding holistically without the three spheres, then you're allowing a phenomenon to just rest. And all your experiences, you start to see when your mind contracts, even or when it's already contracted, when it's already invested into things. There could be somebody on your mind, something, some worldly politics or something like that. Your mind kind of hooks into these, and you can feel that within awareness. So it's really liberating to get a sense of discernment between total clarity and contracting into little hooks of our investments. Your mind deserves to be free. So this is radical stuff. All phenomenon, everything we see here, everyone we talk to, think about, we start to allow and inquiries and dharma texts, then because right now it tends to be, oh, well, I can't really do anything about that, but let me try. Yeah. Okay, how is it now? Is it still cutting? It's all right so far? Well, this is important to embrace at the beginning for people, is that awareness itself, the nature of mind, is nascent. It's like a sun that's barely come up. You cannot even see it over the mountains yet, but it has a small light there. So you get pointed to awareness, and because the clouds of conditioning return to your mind, awareness seems nascent, like it's in the background, but actually it's starting to dawn. The more you allow it, the more you kind of trust, definitely it will dawn on all of your experiences, and that includes all phenomenon, all the elements, all the electricity, everything, so-called dark energy, all that. So this is quite deep for a short passage in the Kunyigapo. To me, it's not necessarily Semde. For those of you keeping up with the three classes, it's, to me, it's beyond the three classes in a sense. Okay, very good. And it also points to the fact that, everything, all elements are kind of teaching. So, okay, yeah. So Jay's asking, are there any benefits or major differences in the results of resting in open awareness compared to focusing on one's breath, or should one focus on the breath while in open awareness? Uh, Jake, can you see me right now? Is it possible for us to sit face to face, like almost like we're talking at a table? Okay, let's do that. You don't have to turn your camera on. I'll try my best just to share this with you. Um, there's a slight, because Jay's question is essentially asking: is there a difference between Sutrayana, Shamatha, and this Dzogchen awareness practice? So the difference is the view. Let's sit together right now, right, and just be here. If there are any thoughts coming up, then it's within this awareness, right? So the idea is to let these patterns, to let these pre-programmed conditions start to breathe within your awareness. And you can breathe into open awareness, like take a mindful breath and breathe into the knowingness that surrounds your experience. But if you can see right now, as we're one on one, as we're here as a group, there's a knowingness, a naked cognizance that's embedded within every aspect of our experience. You see it or no? Just simple awareness. Yes, exactly. Quite natural, right? It comes more natural for some than others. I hope it just comes natural to most people. That would be nice. Very good. Yeah. So we tend, this is an old thing and a new thing. Now they're calling it cognitive fusion. Buddha Shakyamuni called it samsara when you're binding into your thoughts, binding into your emotions, or even your body or your environment. You're contracting into it. You're fusing. And now we have a diffusion coming because we recognize a part of our mind that's not that ever going to be bound into thoughts. All right. I'm sorry for some if I'm over elaborating on this, but I'm just emphasizing it while I still have breath in my body, really to share it with you all so that you can have freedom. Um, I know for some it could get redundant or words are just words, right? But all that matters is that you start to come home to your whole mind, to the pure cognizance, that Buddha mind. Mhm. Okay, any other questions going on right now? Anything? Okay, I believe you. So, the reverberation of sound, Tantra states, given the confusion of the impure state of being, the key point is to rest imperturbably without manipulating the avenues of the sense faculties. Isn't that great, everybody? I just went through the sense faculties, and they're talking about the six avenues. So now you know exactly what that means to rest your eyes, rest your seeing, rest what is seen, rest the objects, rest your hearing, your ears, what is being heard. Rest it all. Let it all be within the knowingness that's purely present. You don't have to create the knowingness. So it says, do not deviate from this, is the pith instruction. Things appear without being reified as objects, while mind arises without being reified as a subject. Oh, hallelujah. You see, Togya and Trekcho united. Things appear without being reified. So the more you leave objects you're seeing, hearing, all this stuff, the more it starts to soften. That reification, crystallization of the mind starts to soften up. But at the same time, because you're leaving your thoughts and your inner workings. The egoic structure, the seventh consciousness out of the eight, also softens, and your karmic seeds are softening. Almost like you saturated your garden with water. You're saturating your experience with awareness, every aspect of it, even latent potentiality. Isn't it amazing? So Gangsha asking, does Trekcho lead naturally into Togya? Well, Trekcho means cutting through, right? So there's nothing to cut through at this point. That's why Longchenpa says that this book includes Trekcho and Togya. So that's why I say it's almost like a third phase, true effortlessness. What is there to cut through or leap over, right? Okay, very good. But I just yeah, I just love the fact that with so pithy, like things appear without being reified as objects, while mind arises without being reified as a subject. So you have the ropa and the tsal being naturally handled and naturally liberated within rigpa, your knowingness, or even dung, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dung also. So it says that this is great. I gave an introduction to this, so it's perfectly fitting along. Wonderful. It says the eyes see without analyzing. One is led along the path of ineffability, the nature of phenomena. Really specifically here talking about all dharmas, phenomenon. Churni uh, starts to blossom. Churni, so dharmas are ch, phenomenon. And churni means not there. So you have this blossoming of emptiness within your awareness. The more you trust awareness, then suchness, actually, maybe we could call it, because suchness of the five lights of the empty appearances. So it says, one is brought to the basis of being that has nothing to do with view or meditation. You see, one is brought to it. One merges with the effortless fruition in which nothing need be done. In this, one does not dwell in the limitations of apparent phenomena. Why? Because they're empty. You're starting to see the insubstantiality, the magical play of the mind, and the co-emergent um, luminosity. And the sixth expanses states the nature of mind, free of anxiety, the experience beyond hope and fear, is revealed by me, Samantabhadra, to be enlightened beingness, resting timelessly with indwelling confidence. Nothing like a little boost in confidence, huh, everybody? It's so funny you asked that. Gangsha was asking about intent and beingness. Yeah, the Tibetan word is gompo. Thanks to Ozal for looking into that and decoding. And it's often translated as intent, but when you look up the word intent, it has a contraction in it where it's like um, associated with planning and fabricating. So I don't favor the word intent, which has been used for decades to translate the second part of the Eightfold Path, which is right thought or right intention. But no, it's more associated with beingness, suchness. So, for example, if Buddha Shakyamuni is just resting in enlightenment, well, what are his intentions? He's not going to have any intentions. His thoughts, his actions, they're going to come naturally, right? So it's more of a beingness. The beingness aspect, uh, the intention could be associated with Sambhoga Kaya, and then you know actions too. See, intent encompasses thoughts, speech, and actions. So right thought isn't really, enlightened thought isn't really a good one, because then you're sort of neglecting action and speech. Right intent, it doesn't work for me. I've already explained that pretty good. Um, Responsiveness has a dependent imputation of duality. What are you responding to, right? Uh, the co-emergence could plug in there maybe, but I just say beingness for the sake of simplicity, because when you're resting in your natural state, your naturalness, then your speech, your actions, your thoughts are enlightened, coming from there, from that natural flow, coming from there, or just co-emerging in the presence, right? It's more of a flicker, but we tend to make everything linear and construct it when we create these frames. And as we create these frames, our mind reifies and crystallizes, and we end up seeing things less of a flickering or reflexive, and more of a reified and crystallized. That's why the cloud practices can be so interesting, because you can see exactly how your mind starts to create pictures and crystallize images, appearances. And of course, the clouds are, what are they? You can move your hand through them, right? So they're really cool mirage to work with. And then you can also play with their movement, and then we talked about that before. Yeah, so intent, you guys can continue to tell me what you think about all that. I'm gonna use the word beingness. I think if it's, I hope that helped, Gongchar. So another implication that can be discerned is that spontaneous presence is free of deliberate effort. And here are the root verses of the way of abiding. Completely encompassing the enlightened being of victorious ones, just as it is, not coming into being or ceasing, not coming or going, and so forth. I should say beingness, because uh, it doesn't come into being. Spontaneous presence is pure and unwavering meditative absorption. All phenomena are discerned within the context of nothing needing to be done. Mhm. And that's absorption. We more and more we absorb into pure presence, isn't it? Yeah, Gongshar, I could go with that. What you just typed there. Colin saying the awareness practice is all done without effort. Like, am I just to let go? Am I to just let go? Am I to focus my mind in a way? It all seems so easy that my mind is having a hard time believing it's so easy. And that is common. Can you believe that? A lot of people react that way. Not everybody, but this is talked about by several teachers, that you almost don't allow yourself to have the peace. Yeah, there's nothing to do at all. You're already supporting yourself by having meditations, by talking to people, by reading Dharma books. Uh, just take it easy. Yeah, uh, it makes me happy hearted to see you happy hearted. Very nice. Yeah, you don't have to focus your mind at all. Everything is already naturally here within your open mind. And it takes a little bit, of warming up, but you're doing it. It's Karen, very good. You're rocking it. Very good. Yes, so Longchenpa's auto commentary says here, since phenomenon are not deliberately produced, they do not waver from the basis of being, their natural place of rest. Since they are spontaneously present within the enlightened beingness of victorious ones, one rests without moving, speaking, or thinking in a state of equilibrium within supreme spontaneous presence, a wide open clarity similar to the immensity of space. And that could be a reference to when you're doing effortless abiding, okay? Just settling into that beingness. And could you go back up a little bit, please? This is still the commentary on the root verses. Away from the basis of being. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you. So the all-creating monarch states, enlightenment, the nature of phenomenon, in which there is no acceptance or rejection, abides like space, and so cannot be contrived with body or mind. There is no fixation on ideas, so it cannot be cultivated in meditation. Utterly peaceful like space, free of all impurity, and involving no objects, enlightened beingness is beyond any construct. And the sixth expanses states, in the non-conceptual nature of mind, things appear naturally and ceaselessly without being reified, and so are recognized as the realm of lucid self-knowing awareness. You see, everybody, what I was telling you, our sense of crystallization and linearity is based on our constructs, and that has been ingrained in us. It has to be patterned in us and taught to us. It's not like it comes naturally exactly, but here it says, things appear naturally and ceaselessly without being reified. So the way empty appearances, the way you are an empty appearance. All your thoughts, all your perceptions, whether you're having a negative one or a positive perception, whether you're having a perception of enlightenment or a perception of. So, in the nature of mind, which entails no deliberation, the manifestation of naturally abiding and spontaneous vastness is revealed by me, Samantabhadra, the all-good, to be enlightened beingness, the natural reversal of the four sounds. And by the way, Samantabhadra is the all-good, okay, meaning just like if you were dreaming, everything in that dream would always be pure mind. The four sounds, we'll have to look those up. I'm not sure what they're referring to there, but it could be from the Tantra of sound, which is the root Tantra, actually, of the 17. So I could guess, but I don't want to just guess at what they're talking about there. The four Togya visions would be my guess, though, because those go in reverse in a paradoxical way. You could think of it as an onion peeling away, maybe. You don't need to get too. Don't complicate your head over that. So, in the nature of mind, which entails no focusing of attention, what would cause it to stir manifests as naturally pure. This is revealed by me, Samantabhadra, to be meditative stability as the natural freedom that underlies reification. There you have a Dzogchen definition of shamatha, or shane in Tibetan, which when you stabilize in space-like awareness, when you kind of relocate yourself out of the movement, so it's like an actor that takes themselves out of the movie and now can watch the movie. So when the more you stabilize in this open awareness, which happens in many ways, I suppose, but you're sort of familiarizing with the nature of your mind, and as you warm up to that and it dawns on you every experience, that's shamatha. And so even if you have this crystallizing, reifying mind, that starts to soften, like the dishes in the dishwasher, or the dishes in dishwater. Let's see, Gongshar saying. Yeah, well, we could probably look that up pretty easy. Maybe the four sounds you're referring to. So it continues on. It says, in the nature of mind, free of ordinary mental processes, profound insight that entails no deliberation is revealed by me, Samantabhadra, to be the enlightened beingness, the resolution of coming and going. You see, and we have Vipassana or insight also there, um, explained by the all creating monarch. So, very cool. Telling you that Vipassana, insight, wisdom needs no deliberation. It's spontaneously present within the lack of doing and contriving. When our reifying stops, then there's a natural flow of wisdom there. Okay, very good, Yeshi. We can stop there. We're going to embrace the larger scope next time. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me during this unpacking this text a little bit here. Appreciate you. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Well, maybe it didn't cut too much, and we can also share that with our friends out there in the YouTube verse. Everybody's doing okay on their practice, right? Remember, you have somebody to talk to. It's quite simple approach, quite simple practice. You're always welcome to email too. All good, very good. I think my explanations are just so good that there aren't any questions.
Isn't that the four samayas? Four
Oh,
sounds.
is it? Let's see.
Because they're all relating back to that beingness that are within all things, the source. And they're all reflections that echo back to that. We all have that, every single one that's here. Rest in that unknown and all is revealed.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I just read it. It said Londrup as I was reading your talk. Very. It says the sounds symbolize aspects of spontaneous presence, Londrup, and awareness, Rigpa. The four sounds are usually described as the sound of emptiness, everything arises from emptiness, all appearances, sounds, and thoughts have the nature of emptiness. The second sound is sound of spontaneous presence, Londrokira, arising without effort, appearances and awareness naturally manifest together, spontaneously and perfectly. The third sound of self-perception, Zokpara or Zokpira, all phenomena are already complete and perfected. There's nothing lacking that needs to be corrected or improved. The fourth sound, sound of great compassion, Tuchi Chimpo Gra. I think it's Ra. Yeah, sound. It must be sound. So Tuchi Chimpo Ra means awareness naturally expresses itself as compassion towards all beings. Ah, see, that's their mnemonikaya. Because in recognizing the nature of mind, the illusory suffering of beings is also seen clearly. In simple terms, first experience is empty, then it naturally shines forth. It's already complete without needing change, and its natural radiance is compassion. Yeah, so the four visions corresponds with the four visions of Togyao. Pretty sure. Thank you, Sterling. Wow, great. That's from this very text, huh?
Well, feel free to fact check the great Buddha ChatGPT for accuracy.
Oh man, you
Um,
didn't tell me you use ChatGPT.
but it's all mine, so it's
It
all
probably
good.
just made up some stuff that sounds good.
Hey, it's all mine. It's the Buddha talking through the robot.
No. Man, you didn't tell me that. It probably just made up some stuff that sounds right. That's what it always does from the
Wow,
top.
I'm telling you, fact check it, but maybe it's right. I don't know.
All right, all right, all right. Well, at least I know that I'm pretty sure it corresponds with the four visions of Togyao. If you ever want to look into those, Dorji Lekpa beingness is the reversal of the four samayas. No, no, no. There's no reversal in the four samayas. The four visions are considered in some approaches to go in reverse upon realization. So you really got to get into your translations. But the four visions are really corresponding to the four phases that we have here in the group. So and you have the four visions are recognizing, familiarizing, maturation, and liberation. So yeah, those are kind of, it's a more peeling away is my best explanation that I could give of that is that liberation starts off and then there's this your own layers of dependent origination are essentially peeling away. But the four samayas are describing awareness itself, which is the nature of mind, rigpa or rigpa and emptiness. So the four samayas are indestructible. Those apply to your mind. You know, your mind's ineffable. It's open. It's purely present, and it's one with everything all the time. So, um, yeah, yeah. Somebody want to speak there? Uh, Sterling, maybe. Okay, am I still here? Hello, check. Huh? Maybe Sterling dropped off, huh? Okay, well, yeah, it does sound like the Force Samayas, but you know we're going off AI right now, and that's dangerous territory. Um, I'm not gonna think about this one anymore, everybody. You know, I already gave it a little bit more conceptual proliferation than I wanted to. I'm sure the answers will come. Scavenger hunt. Yeah. All right. Any other comments? Anything going on? We'll probably get to the bottom of this, everybody. Don't worry.
At the risk of causing Dorje's death because he will die on the hill of not using ChatGPT for Dharma, I asked for where the source material is coming from for the explanation of the four sounds. It says here the Kunyagalpo John Mearden Reynolds translation. So somewhere in there, there's an explanation of the four sounds. Supposedly. He died. Dorje, I'm sorry.
It could be the four lamps. Pretty sure it's corresponding to the four lamps because light and sound are very similar. But the main point of this text, my teacher would use this bell to really illustrate, is that there's this there's this no place where the sound comes from. then there's the sound, and it abides in no place, and it goes back to no place. See? AI is going to give us answers from the Quran and stuff like that. I really wouldn't trust. Oh, that's nice, Georgia. Like, but yeah, there is no drum sound in a bell, and no bell sound in the drum. That's a mind breaker. Go on. Very cool. Cool stuff, everybody. Sorry if I sound a little tired today, but thanks. I really love hanging out, so thank you. We'll come to a close now before something happens to Dorje. All right, very good. Okay, everybody. Yeah, let's big heart mention for Luna. Luna girl has been sick, and please keep everybody in your life that's needing it in our heart mentions, in our awareness practice, your family, your partners, your friends, your pets, your neighbors. Any good that we've stirred up today from this group, we dedicate it all to them. And deep bow to you, everybody. Take care out there.